called King Pururava, enchanted by Urvasi. Very interesting chapter. So we're going to read till verse 6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is Canto 9, Chapter 14, King Pururava enchanted by Urvasi, text number 1. Shri Sukuvacha Athata Sru Yatam Rajan Dvangsa Samasya Bhavana Yasmin Ailadayo Bhupa Kirtyantenye Kirtaya. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said to Maharaj Pariksit, O king, thus far you have heard the description of the dynasty of the sun god. Now hear the most glorious and purifying description of the dynasty of the moon god. This description mentions kings like Aila, Pururava, of whom it is glorious to hear. Sahasra Sirasa Pungso Nabhi Hridha Saro Ruhad Jatas Yasid Tuto Datur Atri Pitru Samogunai. Lord Vishnu, translation, Lord Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, is also known as Sahasra Sirsa Purusha. From the lake of his navel sprang a lotus on which Lord Brahma was generated. Atri, the son of Lord Brahma, was as qualified as his father. Tasya Drigbyo Bhavat Putra Samom Mritha Mayakila Viprasad Rudha Ganana Brahmana Kalpitapati. From Atri's tears of jubilation was born a son named Soma, the moon, who was full of soothing rays. Lord Brahma appointed him the director of the Brahmanas, drugs, and luminaries. This is a very unusual way to be born. Generally, it's by seminar, right? This is birth by tears, right? Of jubilation. High-tech birth. Yeah. Purport: according to the Vedic description, Soma, the moon god, was born from the mind of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chandra Maya Manaso Jata. But here we find that Soma was born from tears in the eyes of Atri. This appears contradictory to the Vedic information, but actually it is not. For this purpose, for this birth of the moon is understood to have taken place in another millennium. When tears appear in the eyes because of jubilation, the tears are soothing. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Drigbya anan das rubhya atta evham vatapmaya. Here the word Drigbya means from the tears of jubilation. Therefore the moon god is called Amritamaya, full of soothing rays. In the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4:1-15, we find this verse. Atre pat hyanarsu yatrin jagge suya sasa sutan dattang durva sasang somam atmesha brahmasam bhavan. This verse describes that Anasuya, the wife of Atri Rishi, bore 3 sons, Soma, Durvasa, and Dattatreya. It is said that at the time of conception, Anasuya was impregnated by the tears of Atri. So there's not very much I can say about hot tears and soothing tears, so we're going to continue on. This is text 4. Soyajad Rajasuyena Jitya Bhuva Natrayam Patni Brahaspatir Darpat Taram Nama Harad Balat. Translation: after conquering the three worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary system, Soma, the moon god, performed a great sacrifice known as the Rajasuya Yajna. Because he was very much puffed up, he forcibly kidnapped Brihaspati's wife, whose name was Tara. Yadasa Deva Guruna Yachito Hi Sanaso Madat Natyajat Tatkate Yagye Sura Dhanava Vigraha. Translation: although requested again and again by Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the demigods, Soma, did not return Tara. This was due to false pride. Consequently, a fight ensued between the demigods and the demons. Sukro Brihaspatir Dvesad Agrahit Sasuro Dupam Haro Guru Sutam Snehat Sarvabhuta Ganavrata. Oh, we're going to play that one together, okay. Sukro, Brihaspatir, Dvesad, Agrahit, Sasuro Dupam, Haro, Guru, Sutam, Snehat, Sarva, Bhuta, Ganarvata, Sukro Brihaspatir Dvesad, Agrahit Surodupam, Haro Guru Sutam Snehat, Sarvabhuta Ganarvata, Sukro Brihaspatir Dvesad, Agrahit Sasurodupam, Haro Guru Sutam Snehat, Sarvabhuta Ganabhata, Sukro Brihaspatir Dvesad, Agrahit Sasurodupam, Haro Guru Sutam Snehat, Sarvabhuta Gunavrata. Mataji's. Sukra, the demigod named Sukra, Brihaspate, unto Brihaspati, Dvesat, because of enmity, Agrahit, took, sa asura, with the demons. Urupam, the side of the moon god. Hara, Lord Shiva. Guru Sutam, the side of his spiritual master's son. Snehat, because of affection. Sarvabhuta Gana Avrata, accompanied by all kinds of ghosts and hobgoblins. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Because of enmity between Brihaspati and Sukra, Sukra took the side of the moon god and was joined by the demons. But the Lord Shiva, because of affection for the son of his spiritual master, joined the side of Brihaspati and was accompanied by all the ghosts and hobgoblins. Purport. The moon god is one of the demigods, but to fight against the other demigods, he took the assistance of the demons. Sukra, being an enemy of Brihaspati, also joined the moon god to retaliate in wrath against Brihaspati. To counteract this situation, Lord Shiva, who was affectionate towards Brihaspati, joined Brihaspati. The father of Brihaspati was Angira, from whom Lord Shiva had received knowledge. Therefore, Lord Shiva had some affection for Brihaspati and joined his side in this fight. Sridhar Swami remarks, Angirasa Shak Asat Prapta Vidyohara iti Prasidata. Lord Shiva is well known to have received knowledge from Angira. Om Gyanatamurandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Krotavachalang Pangundang Haitegrim Yat Kripataraham Bande Shigurum Dinataranam Vanchikapatubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This pastime gives an idea of how powerful this emotion of lust can be. Soma, he's a demigod. And because he was a little out of control, he took the wife of the spiritual master of the demigods, Brihaspati. It mentions here that this is because of pride. He became proud. He conquered the lower, the middle, the higher planetary systems. Very powerful demigod. But what comes with power is pride. Queen Kunti, she says, Janmaisvara Shutashivir, Edamana Madapama, Naivarhati Vidhatika, Traumakinchina Gotra. She says that you are very easily approachable, Krishna, but only by those persons who are materially exhausted, those persons who have high birth, Soma, high birth, demigod. Janmaishvarya, opulence. He had so much opulence, conquered all the different planetary systems. Education, I'm sure he was educated. Shri, beauty, everything was there. He had everything. So what comes with that is pride. Janaka Pandit, he says there's 4 types of blindness. Pride, greed, lust, and material blindness. But of the 4, the worst one is pride. Yeah, pride is the worst. Someone may be very lusty, but still he could take some good instruction. Or someone may be very greedy and still be able to take some good instruction. But if someone is very proud, no. Who are you to tell me? You think I don't know? Don't tell me. Don't tell me anything. So yeah, pride is a problem. And this process, this nice process that we've taken up, dissolves this false ego. See, this pride and this lust and greed. Excuse me. This is all the accumulation of false ego. False identification of who we are. We're actually the soul within. We're very, very small, very insignificant. But because we think we're this body, we identify with this lust. But what's interesting is these contaminations, they can be dovetailed. Lust means desire. So we can desire to serve Krishna. This is the perfection of dovetailing our desires. To desire to serve Krishna. And even higher than that is to serve Krishna with intense desire. It's called Tivra Bhakti. Intense love, intense desire to please Krishna. We can't be free of desire. No question of that. That's the nature of the soul, is that we desire. So now we just have to put our desire in the right direction. If we desire things that are sinful, such as this, Prabhupada said, for a man to take another man's wife is the most sinful thing. Most sinful thing a person could do. So when desires like this, sinful desires come, we let them go. Sinful desires come, let them go. Apoyamana machalapa vishtam samudramapa papasanti adva tadvat kamayam papasanti sarve sasanti mapnoti nakama kami. One who is not disturbed by the incessant desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but which is always steady, alone achieves peace, and not the person who strives to satisfy such desires. Now Soma would have just let that desire go. No, this is wrong. Brihaspati, he's the spiritual master of the demigods. There's no question I can't take his wife. That's ridiculous. If he would have thought like that, he wouldn't have had to go through this whole... There's going to be a war now. Because of his pride and because of his lust, because of his not kicking that desire out, now there's going to be excuse me, there's going to be a war between the demons and the demigods. Lust. So many desires will come. Those desires that are pleasing to Krishna, we keep those desires. There's a nice little pastime of Prabhupada. He visited one temple, and the temple president went to him and said, Srila Prabhupada, we at this temple, we have a very strong desire to distribute your books. And Prabhupada said, oh, very nice. Don't let that desire go. Don't let that desire go. How about here? You have a strong desire to distribute Prabhupada's books here? Yeah? I hear only a slight response. Okay. So this desire is very pleasing to Krishna, very pleasing to Prabhupada. So we should pray for that desire. We should pray for that desire. Sopi Ravre Chalam Bhaktim Tasmani Vakmilamani Tad Bhakti Sudasodam Bhute Sucha Dayam Param. One great devotee, he prayed to Krishna, please bless me, Krishna. With devotion for you, that's a nice desire, huh? To have devotion for Krishna, that's the highest desire. Please bless me with friendship with your devotees. Very important also. And please bless me with compassion for all living entities. Also, very nice. Huh? So these three, very important. If we could have these three desires, if our hearts can be permeated with these desires, we're going to go back home. We'll go back home. Krishna was so pleased with this devotee when he heard this. Yeah. So these are some desires that we can pray for. Other desires, these material desires, let them go. How do we let them go? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We have to fill ourselves with Krishna. Then we're protected. Just like if you go to a very cold place, like Russia. I'm going to Russia in 3 weeks. It's very cold. Siberia. It gets 40 below zero there. So cold. But if you're near fire, then no problem. You got some electric heater or you got some fire, no problem, right? So suddenly we're in this world of Maya, Maya's kingdom. But if we remember Krishna, then we're protected. So much Maya in this world. Bombay is the epitome of Maya in India. This is where it all begins, right here. And then it spreads out, to the rest of India. So much Maya. But if we remember Krishna, then we're protected. And there's another nice little pastime of Prabhupada in this connection. Prabhupada was in a cold place, somewhere in Europe. And he was on a morning walk with one devotee. And it was so cold there that Prabhupada was walking and he would see little ice puddles. And he would take his cane and he would break the ice. And then he would walk a little further and he would take his cane and he would break the ice. And then he would see another puddle and he would break the ice. And the devotee knew that Prabhupada was very internal, very mysterious. So he decided to ask Prabhupada, Prabhupada, is there some meaning behind your breaking these ice puddles? And Prabhupada said, yes. Water is naturally soft and warm. But because it's come in contact with this cold, it's become hard and cold. Similarly, the heart is naturally soft and warm when one is Krishna conscious. So I have come to smash these cold hearts, cold energy, and make everybody warm again. So Prabhupada came to make warm hearts again. A lot of cold hearts in the material world. Cold-hearted, Don't care about anybody, selfish, lusty, greedy, proud. This means cold heart. So Krishna comes, Prabhupada comes, to help us have warm hearts. Again, Prabhupada had the warmest heart. So, the goal of life is to get purified of all this contamination. Yeah? This lust, pride, greed. But greed can also be used in the service of Krishna. Krishna bhakti rasabhavitamiti kriyatam yadi kotopi labhyate tataloyam apimuyam janma koti sukaterna labhyate. Krishna bhakti rasabhavitamiti. That Krishna bhakti cannot be attained by performing thousands and thousands of pious activities. But it can be attained by paying only one price. And that is one's eagerness, loyam. It's also called greed. You should be greedy to serve Krishna. Anxious, eager to serve Krishna. One book distributor went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, sometimes the devotees, the Sankirtan devotees, they don't want to go out because there's too much anxiety. Trying to convince people to take a book and give a donation, so much anxiety. And Prabhupada said, no! This is good anxiety. And he gave the example, just like Mother Yasoda, she's in anxiety. She has to feed Krishna. Krishna, if he doesn't eat, he's going to die. She's in anxiety. Krishna goes to the forest. The gopis see Krishna going out into the forest barefoot. Krishna's barefoot going into the forest. The gopis are thinking that their breasts are too hard for his feet. So he's going out into the forest barefoot. And they see that, and they're in so much anxiety, Prabhupada said they faint. The gopis faint. There's so much anxiety that his feet are going to get hurt in the forest. So there's spiritual anxiety. That's good. People are suffering. People are suffering like anything in the material world. Why? Because they've forgotten Krishna. So a devotee is in anxiety. They're suffering. They're my brothers. They're suffering. Tapyante lokatapena sarvo prayasojana. It's described in the Srimad Bhagavatam that it's very, very common for devotees of the Lord to accept voluntary suffering, to relieve the suffering of the people in general. And this is the highest method of worshiping Krishna. Powerful statement there. You want to worship Krishna? Shri Shri Radha Rasa Bihari? You want to worship Gaura Nitai? You want to worship Sita Ram Lakshman? The best way you could worship them is to go outside with books and give these books to the conditioned souls. This is the highest way to worship Krishna. Why? Because people are suffering. Krishna doesn't like them suffering. Paradukha dukhi. Krishna sees others suffering, he gives pain. So when we go out and give people books, you're relieving the pain of Krishna. Yeah. Krishna feels pain. He's a person. He feels pleasure. He feels pain. Prabhupada said, he feels pain upon seeing. Just like a father. Just to give you an example, a father has many sons, 5 sons. And they're all good sons, nice, obedient, nice, decent gentlemen. One of them becomes degraded due to bad association. He becomes a drunkard. He becomes a womanizer. And he's taking drugs and just becomes so degraded. Just black sheep of the family. Just so bad. And his father's feeling pain. So one of the other brothers goes out of his way to help this son who has become degraded. So he goes out of his way. He's out there for months and months. He's helping his brother. He puts him under his wing. He has him stay with him in his flat. And gradually he comes around and he becomes a decent person again. And then he takes him back to his father. And he's a good boy again. Can you imagine how pleased the father is going to be with that son that went out of his way to help this degraded boy become a good son again? Can you imagine? Tears will come to his eyes. He's so grateful. Isn't it? So when we go out of our way to help the conditioned souls who are suffering, Krishna is very, very pleased with you. Very pleased with you. You know, this temple is a very nice temple. So much nice facility. You could enter into what we call a comfort zone. You know? Things are very comfortable here. Why go out of my way? Things are comfortable here. You know? Why accept all this anxiety? You know, people rejecting me and all these things. You know. No. Actually, the real comfort zone for the soul is to go out. To go out and help the conditioned souls. Prabhupada did it. Prabhupada was in Vrindavan. Most respected sadhu in Vrindavan. Had his nice place there in Vrindavan, nice little place to stay. But no, his spiritual master instructed him, preach. So where does he go? From Vrindavan, the holy land of Vrindavan, he goes to one of the most hellish cities in the world, New York City, worse than Bombay, if you can imagine that. Worse than Bombay, New York City. And he's preaching to these people, and drunkards are coming, and drug abusers are coming, and he's preaching to them. And he's turning them into devotees. So Prabhupada, he's our wonderful example. He's our most wonderful example. So we should learn from that wonderful example that Prabhupada gave, that he left with us. We were all out there in the material world also, suffering the pains of material existence. So much greed and lust and anger. So now, fortunately, we're taken to this process. These are all enemies, this lust, anger, greed. Kamarinam katina katita palita dorni desas. Tesam jata maina kurna protyanti. That the living entity has many enemies, 6 enemies. Lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion, madness. These are the enemies of the soul. But everybody in the material world, they accept them as masters. Everybody is very humbly serving the lust, the greed, the anger, all these horrible qualities. People are serving them. So Rupa Goswami, he goes on to say, but now, my dear Lord, you've given me transcendental intelligence. Now I don't want to serve all these bad masters anymore. Now I just want to serve you. So this is good intelligence. There's polluted intelligence, and there's good intelligence. So polluted intelligence means that one is thinking how to enjoy the material senses in various ways. That's material intelligence. Spiritual intelligence is how to give pleasure to Krishna, how to understand that I am his servant, and serve him with love. It's described that the demigods are known as sakama devotees. They're devotees, but they're sakama. Not all of them, of course. Narada Muni is also a demigod, the greatest Vaishnava. Lord Shiva, he is also Vaishnava, pure servant of Krishna. Vaishnavanam yata shambhu. But in general, demigods are sakama devotees. Srila Prabhupada said that we should be very careful in our Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we may end up in heaven instead of the spiritual world. And heaven's a nice place. It's a nice, comfortable place. Yeah? Another comfort zone. But it's not the highest. This process is meant to bring us to the highest, Goloka Vrindavan. And you may think, how is it possible? Any of you ever think that way? How is it possible that I'm ever going to get purified and go back to Goloka Vrindavan? Any of you ever think like that? Huh? No? I think like that. How is it possible? I mean, that's the highest goal. That's the highest destination, Goloka Vrindavan. But we have some great mercy. Some great mercy has come to us. Therefore, it is possible. And I'm going to give you an example of this in relation to this pastime here. Who knows who Brihaspati was in Chaitanya Lila? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, yeah, great devotee. Now he was the topmost Mayavadi in India, famous. Therefore, he became the guru of the king in Orissa. So he was a big Mayavadi. Lord Chaitanya, he went to Puri. And when he went to Jagannath temple, in his ecstasy, he passed out. He fainted. And there was no sign of life. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he came and he just put some little cotton swab. And the only way he could see that he's still alive is he could see the fibers are moving a little bit. And then he understood this is the highest level of ecstasy, yeah, that this personality is experiencing. So he took him to his home. And he understood that this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas quite early, 24 years old. Some of our youngsters in ISKCON also took sannyas quite early. Most of them didn't make it. Some still made it, actually. Jayapataka Swami, he took sannyas when how old? Anybody know how old he was? He was 19? Really? He was 19. Whew. Anybody here younger than 19 here? Anybody here younger than 19? One person. So everybody here was older than Jayapataka Swami when he took sannyas. And he's still a sannyasi. He made it. But not many of them made it. Not many of them made it. Because that's very young. Yeah, very young. So he instructed Lord Chaitanya for 7 days. And Lord Chaitanya just sat there and listened to him. 7 days. Yeah. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it's hard to just sit for an hour. Yeah? We have a pretty amazing phenomenon in ISKCON that at night we're trying to sleep. Yeah, you're laying down, the lights are off, there's no noise, and sometimes it's hard to sleep. Yeah? But in Srimad Bhagavatam class, as soon as someone says Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, people start falling asleep. Yeah? It's amazing. But then they wake up when you hear Sayada Vijaja Jarendya Taika. Different mantras, right? Sleeping mantras and awaking mantras. They actually say, in India they have the saying that Srimad Bhagavatam is the cure for insomnia. Did you know that? Yeah. It's the natural, organic cure for insomnia. So Lord Chaitanya didn't fall asleep. He was awake and he was very alert. And after 7 days, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked him, so you're not saying anything, are you understanding? He said, oh yes, I understand, but your interpretation is concocted, not pleasing to hear. He said, oh okay, then you tell me. And then he spoke. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya could understand, this is Krishna. So he became a great devotee. He became such a great devotee that Lord Chaitanya revealed to him the Sadbhuj form. He became a great Vaishnava. Great Vaishnava. Such a great Vaishnava. So one day he invited Lord Chaitanya to his home for lunch. Now, somehow he had a son-in-law, a Moga, that was so envious of Lord Chaitanya that when Lord Chaitanya was being served prasadam by his wife, he was at the door with a stick to guard, to beat his son-in-law if he comes and blasphemes, criticizes Lord Chaitanya. I mean, you can imagine, how did he get such a bad reputation? I mean, I don't know what he did, but I mean, that's a pretty bad reputation. You know, generally a father-in-law and a son-in-law, they have a good relationship, you know, isn't it? But here, the father-in-law is waiting with a stick to beat his son-in-law. So his wife is serving out prasadam to Lord Chaitanya. And he sees, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya sees that she needs a little help. So he starts serving out also. But in his inattentiveness to guard, Amoga sticks his head in, sees all the prasadam, and he says, hey, what is this? What kind of a sannyasi is this? That's enough for 10 people. What kind of renunciation is this? And as soon as Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya hears that, he looks at Amoga, and if vision could burn somebody, he would have sizzled. He would have been ashes. So when Amoga saw that vision, he thought, uh-oh, I'm in trouble now. So he went running. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he went chasing him with his stick to beat him. Of course, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was elderly, so he couldn't catch him. He would have liked to catch him and beat him. So he went back and he's lamenting like anything. Him and his wife are just lamenting like anything. And his wife beat her chest and said, may my daughter become a widow. They both wanted him to just die, their son-in-law, for blaspheming Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya, he didn't take it very seriously. No, he's right. You know, I'm a sannyasi, I shouldn't be eating so much. Why are you serving me so much prasadam? It's okay. It's not a big deal. No offense. But they knew this is a great offense. This is a great offense. So Lord Chaitanya, he then left and went back to his residence. The next day, Gopinath Acharya, the brother-in-law of Sarvam Bhattacharya, went to visit Lord Chaitanya. And he asked, how is Sarvam Bhattacharya and his wife doing? He said, oh, they're fasting. They're fasting. They're serious? They're still fasting from that little thing? Why are they taking this so seriously? It's not a big deal. And Gopinath Acharya said, yeah, they feel very bad that you were offended. And Amoga, how is Amoga? He said, oh, he's dying. He's dying of cholera. He's dying. So as soon as the Lord Chaitanya heard that, he got up and he went to where Amoga was on his deathbed. And he said to Amoga, Amoga, you're born into a very nice Brahmin family. The heart of a Brahmana is naturally very pure and therefore a suitable place for Krishna to sit. Why have you allowed this chandala of envy to sit in your heart? Why? However, he said, he put his hand, Lord Chaitanya had a big hand. It's described that Lord Chaitanya's hand was so big that with one handful he could take enough food, prasadam, to feed 2 Bengalis. You know, they like to eat a lot, you know. He had a big hand. He was tall too, so he had a big hand. How tall was Lord Chaitanya? 7 feet. So he had a big hand. He was tall, big hand. He put his hand on the chest of Amoga. He said, however, Amoga, because you are the son-in-law, because you're related to Sarvam Bhattacharya, I remove all the contamination from your heart. And when the heart is pure, naturally one chants, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then Lord Chaitanya took his hand off his heart. And immediately Amoga jumps up out of his deathbed and he's chanting like wild, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. He's chanting, and he's chanting, and he's chanting, and he's slapping his face. He's slapping his face so hard that it becomes swollen. And he says, this mouth has blasphemed the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's slapping it. And finally, Gopinath Acharya had to come and restrain him. And then he paid obeisances to Lord Chaitanya. He said, my dear Lord, please forgive me. This mouth, this sinful mouth, this sinful heart, I have blasphemed you, the Supreme Lord. Please forgive me. So he became a great Vaishnava. He became a great devotee. And his only qualification was that he was related to a great devotee, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. It wasn't a spiritual relationship. It wasn't even a material relationship. There was no blood relation. He was just the husband of his daughter. So the good news this morning is there's hope for us that we can go back to the spiritual world because we're related to Srila Prabhupada. He's either our father or our grandfather. And that's not a material, that's a spiritual relationship, much higher. Yeah. So if we continue engaging in devotional service, chanting Hare Krishna, distributing this wisdom, this great message of Godhead to the conditioned souls, we're going to go back home. Lord Chaitanya is going to remove whatever contamination is there, and we're going to go back home. It's possible. by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So is there any question? Yes. Is there a microphone? It appears there's a microphone.
We can classify all mankind in three parts: Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. Right? All people of the world can be classified in Sattvic, Rajasic or Tamasic. The Mayavadi and Shunyavadi, they come under which category of these three?
Well, mixture. Mixture. Anybody that doesn't engage in devotional service is under the modes of nature. And it's described in the Bhagavad Gita that modes of nature, there's competition, sometimes more in the mode of goodness, sometimes more in the mode of passion, sometimes more in the mode of ignorance. But anybody that's not engaged in devotional service to Krishna, they're under these modes of nature. And the way to get free of these modes of nature is to engage in devotional service. And this is what Sarvabhaumacharya, he was the greatest Mayavadi. But upon association with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became a great Vaishnava. Mangchayo vyabhicharya bhakti yogena sevate saganan samatite brahma bhayaya kalpate. By engaging in devotional service, one becomes free of the modes of nature.
My question is that when he was Mayavadi, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, when he was Mayavadi, under which mode he was? Ignorance, passion or goodness?
Well, again, if one is not engaged in devotional service, of course, he was familiar with the Vedic literatures quite a bit. He knew the Vedas. So a lot of goodness was there, but because of a misunderstanding of the Vedas, he was misleading people. There was no God. So that's mode of ignorance, right? So mixture is there. As long as one is not connected to Krishna and devotional service, the mixture is always there. Okay? Any other question? Yes.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for inspiring class. Prabhuji, you mentioned about that how a father feel pain seeing the living entities or his son suffering. I see myself, Prabhuji, practicing from last many years, but I still not developed that desire or pain for seeing living entities suffering. You mentioned about we have to go out of our way and distribute books or preach. I'm doing as a duty, but that pain or is not there. How one can develop such attitude or such eagerness to preach compassion? We see Prabhupada had, but...
Thank you. Very nice question. Therefore, as this one devotee did, he prayed for compassion. So this is something we have to pray for. Pray for compassion. People are suffering, no doubt. Everybody in the material world is suffering. Even we're suffering. We're suffering the miseries coming from our own body and mind, suffering coming from other living entities, nature. Everybody in the material world is suffering. But we're suffering less because we're at the shelter of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada. And we understand Dukali Masasana. It is a place of suffering. Let me get serious and get out of here. But the people in the material world, most people, they don't know that there's another place beyond this world where there is no suffering. So we have to give this message out, this valuable message out to the people. And a devotee, even though he's in the material world, he's very happy. He's very happy because he's serving Krishna. Yeah. For a devotee, there is no anxiety, with the exception of the anxiety of helping the conditioned souls. Otherwise, there's no anxiety. There's a nice verse. Akinchina dantyasya santasya samachejita maya santusamana sarva sukha maya dasha. That one who is free of all material desires, whose senses are controlled, who is peaceful, who is equal towards everyone, and who is satisfied in serving Krishna, wherever he goes, he only finds happiness, even though we're in the material world. So, a devotee is really satisfied when he goes out of his way to help the conditioned souls. And therefore, many devotees, they like to go out on book distribution. Because when you go on book distribution, you see Krishna. How do you like that? Anybody here want to see Krishna? Haribo! You get a very nice reciprocation with Krishna when you go on book distribution. You see Krishna. It's the most pleasing thing. Yaidang paramongu yang. Krishna says, there's no one more dear to me than that person who goes out of their comfort zone and gives this message to the conditioned souls. So it's so pleasing to Krishna. So Krishna's given us a hint here on how to please him. Prabhupada said, you want to please me? Distribute books. Go out. The pure devotee is hinting, giving us hint. In one purport, Prabhupada says, the quickest way to get realization of Krishna is to preach Krishna consciousness. Anybody here want to get realization of Krishna? Haribo! Yeah. So this is the quickest way to grow in your service to Krishna. And this is Bombay. This is the main temple in Bombay. And I remember years ago, Bombay was #1 in the world for years. And now, you're not going to believe it, Pune beat Bombay. And you guys shouldn't stand for that. You can't tolerate that. I mean, 10 years ago, no one heard of Pune. Now they're beating Bombay. You can't stand for that. You can't tolerate that. Come on. So, yeah, you got to. Prabhupada liked this competition. And now, I mean, Bombay used to be #1 in the world every year for years, isn't it? Yeah, for years. And now Bombay they didn't even get 3rd place. You know? Punjabi Bagh. Oh, you got 3rd. Did you get 3rd? 5th place, guys. 5th place. Punjabi Bagh beat Bombay. I mean, come on, you guys. You gotta get into the competition, you know. Gotta please Krishna. And you know what's amazing is this temple here also. Recently, this temple, not far from here, this temple near the hospital. What's that? Mira Road. They invited me last year to speak on book distribution. There's some devotees that are there's some devotees there that are very into book distribution, but not many others were. So I spoke on book distribution, and I tried to encourage them in the monthly Sankirtan festival. There's not many brahmacharis there, so I encouraged them at least do the monthly Sankirtan festival. That means the householders, they go out once a month. Just 3 hours or so, book distribution. And now they increased by about 10% over last year. Just from that. Just from some devotees going out, 3 hours a month. That's not very much. They increased like anything. Increased like anything. In America, the ISKCON of Silicon Valley, that temple doesn't have one brahmachari. It's all householders. And they do the monthly Sankirtan festival, and sometimes they have 200 devotees out doing the Sankirtan festival. Now you see, if you have a lot of people doing a little, it becomes a lot. So that temple is number 2 in America. And America is the number 2 country in the world after India. So they're doing huge in America. But ISV was number 2 in the entire country, just from householders going out doing the monthly Sankirtan festival. So there's no restriction. Anybody can do it. What to speak of the brahmacharis? If all the brahmacharis just did that thing, once a month, if you have other services, but if everybody just went out once a month, 3 hours, you'd see the increase like anything. And then what's going to happen is you're going to get a taste for book distribution, and it's going to increase. I mean, I could tell you personally, my most wonderful experiences in this life have been on book distribution. And sometimes I pray, Krishna, please don't ever let me stop book distribution, because it's such a wonderful activity. So please get into this book distribution. How many of you have never distributed books before? Raise your hand. Only one person, 2 people. So that means all of you have the experience of book distribution. Now I know it can be a little difficult, not an easy activity, but sacrifice is so important. Nayan lokasta yagyasya kutonya kurusatama. Krishna says, if one does not perform sacrifice or austerity, one cannot be happy in this life. What to speak of the next life? Prabhupada told the Gurukul teachers, teach the joy of austerity to the children. Austerity is good. Sacrifice is good. Especially for this great sacrifice of giving Krishna to others. I think there was another hand up. Yes.
See, you said that Lord Chaitanya put his palm on Amoga's heart, okay, and he got purified. Means all the impurities like lust, envy, he was very envious, faded. Means he became a pure devotee. So heart is in a chest, okay, and we said that mind means all senses are under control of mind, okay. So we guess that mind is in brain. So thoughts, all these enemies like lust, anger comes in the form of thoughts, okay. So we are always instructed that please engage your mind in the Lord's service, okay. So you shall get purified, your senses shall get purified. So what's the difference between mind and heart? Like we have to purify mind or heart. Like we say that God is in our heart. So heart can't think, so thoughts can't come in heart. So how it is possible that by keeping the hand, it got purified? Like we have to purify mind or heart. What's the difference between mind and heart? That is why I want to ask.
Actually, in Sanskrit, the word Atma means mind and heart. Same.
Guruji, as you very beautifully explain about the types of mind, like pride, lust, and greed. So in this story, the story is going between Brihaspati and the other party is fighting. So the fighting is going for the Tara, who is kidnapped by the demons. So my question is this, Prabhuji, that at the time of Krishna, the 16,000 gopiyas are become kidnapped, and when Krishna have take out from that Agashura, then the 16,000
They
gopis
weren't
have
gopis,
so they are
ladies.
they have to married with Krishna only. His fathers are not allowed
Yeah.
in his family. So what about this story, Tara, when Tara is coming out from the demons? So accepted by the Brihaspati or not accepted?
Okay. That's coming, just now coming. Patient. Okay, one more question. Okay, two more questions. We got him and then there.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you were mentioning that pride is one kind of blindness which is worst because the person cannot hear any instructions, cannot receive. So then how somebody is in pride, then how he can be helped?
Yeah, well, if someone is very proud, then can't hear. All of you must be humble because you want to hear. But in general, now we're talking about someone that's very proud. Like Soma here is very proud. He's conquered the whole universe practically. He's very attractive, very intelligent, very powerful. He became very proud. So for someone like that, it's difficult to hear. So, and there's a lot of people in this world. You try to give them some good instruction, and what happens? You give a fool good instruction, and he becomes angry. Not only will he not accept the good instruction, he'll become angry. So there's a lot of people like that. Not everybody. Not everybody, obviously. Because some people are hearing from Bhagavad Gita, they're hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, they're hearing from devotees. You do college programs here, I'm sure, also. And a lot of people want to come and hear. But most of them don't, right? Kali Yuga, most people don't want to hear because people are mostly proud. Last question.
It's not a question, it's a repeat announcement. Thank you very much for this inspiring class today. And Vijay Prabhu is ISKCON Minister for Book Distribution. So he, as a Minister of Book Distribution, he, as a book distribution, Minister of Book Distribution, he travels around the world and inspires devotees in book distribution. So this evening, he is giving a seminar on book distribution in Gada Hall from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. So Prabhuji has already mentioned, from 1 we have come to 3 and now 5th. So he will be here today to inspire all of you how to improve our position. So please be, whoever, even online somebody is listening to the lecture, please come personally and attend this program. So you are all invited for the book distribution seminar, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. in Gada Hall. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki?